Hello and welcome once more to another episode of Rugby with Pads. Today we are going to be looking at tight ends. If you've been listening to the last few weeks, you'll know that I probably recorded these in advance a little bit. I'll try to get ahead so I can focus on some more long form content, moving into the preseason, look at training camps, that kind of thing, and also a mega mock draft mania that we are going to be having in a couple of weeks. But this is the final of the tier series. And again, just to reiterate what I've done the last couple of weeks, this is a strategy for success for your draft. Don't follow this exactly, but hopefully this gives you an idea of how to draft and what the best way to maximize your success in drafts by just make sure you don't overpay, you don't kill your team by just going after the players that are at the top of ADP. Obviously there is merit to drafting the best player available, and we will discuss that in due course. But there is a lot to be said for making sure that you protect your team and you have a good makeup of this. And hopefully, I've proven that over the last 3 weeks. We haven't drafted, I don't think, a bad team. So let's see how this goes, because we are going to be discussing one of my least favourite positions in the National Football League, the tight end position, and not because I don't appreciate tight ends. Tight ends should have their own day. There is a National Tight End Day. Tight End U is fantastic. I love Travis Kelce. I love George Kittle. I love those guys. But it's confusing. And in fantasy, I've always suffered with poor tight end play unless I've had Travis Kelce. So you know what? Let's just see how it goes. Actually, that's a lie. I picked up TJ Hockenson last year, and he was fantastic. But you know what? Let's just see how this goes and how we're going to push our draft moving forwards with tight ends. And we are back once again with the lovely presentation mode version of the tier maker. Less tiers this time, and this is probably going to be a quicker one take because you know what? There are a lot less tight ends that are fantasy relevant these days. And we're just gonna get into it and just go from the top. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you know who's going to be at the top. It's going to be Travis Kelce. Killer Trav himself is in a league of his own. He's not dropping off. And I think although people have predicted his downfall for years and years and years, he has not. So he is definitely up there in the upper echelons. I think it will get more fun when we're talking in the middle order to see who we really want around there. But we are going to start with Mark Andrews. And I'm going to pair him because I like to talk them together with TJ Hockenson. Now, these guys are in the elite production tier for two different reasons. Mark Andrews is the number one target for what is going to be a more pass-heavy offense over in Baltimore. No doubt. He has been the number one target for years and years and years and years and years. He is good, and I think he will continue to be good. He's not old. I think he's 27, 28. He's got time on his side. He is still very physical, and we like him a lot. He's not necessarily a pure catcher, but he is very, very close to it. TJ Hockenson is more of a pure catcher. Yes, he can block, he can do other things, but he is very much a pass catching weapon over there. He's really good. That's all I can say. And I think he's in the situation not because he's the number one, but because they are going to be a pass heavy team. Because I think the Vikings defense is so bad, they're going to be behind a lot. So the passing volume opportunity, passing for big plays, he was seen as a safety valve for Kirk, who I think Kirk still needs that. He's really, really good. And I think he will see that tight end elite production. If Killer Travis does fall off, it's going to be into this bunch, and I think we're going to see a merging potentially of these guys. And there was another guy who I was considering putting in there, but I think based on scheme, he's not quite there, and that is man I've already spoken about, George Kittle. George Kittle is great. Don't get me wrong. He is up there in he's a Hall of Famer. I think future Hall of Famer. He's a nice guy. He likes wrestling as well. So you know what? I don't know a bad person who likes wrestling. Does Donald Trump like wrestling? Put it in the comments below. Anyway, we love George Kittle around here, and he is great, but he's a different type of tight end. He's a blocking tight end. Recently, I was watching some of the New Heights episodes, and Travis Kelce was talking about the towel drill that George Kittle showed him that has a pass block. Two very different types of tight ends, and when coming out of college, these guys get classified as sixth linemen. Someone like Darnell Washington, big guy, big blocker. He's a sixth lineman on the edge there. You get guys who are pure pass catchers, and you get the hybrids. George Kittle is a hybrid, but that means he's dragged more into the run blocking, pass blocking work, rather than necessarily be a pass catcher on every single play. But I'm putting in there because when he is targeted, he is hyper targeted, and because the scheme sometimes it's just his week, and he's going to give you spike weeks. But overall, he's going to have a fantastic season, I think, and he will continue to roll on, providing he doesn't get injured, because he has had that history, unfortunately. Right, we're going to go to our next set. These are the guys to set and forget, and I've done this with everyone. I haven't put a league winner in this because I don't think there's anyone really that jumps out and says that they're above and beyond everyone else. There are guys who I'm favouring, obviously, but I think in this one, the set and forget category is probably going to be relatively big, and maybe our tight end one category is going to go into the solid guys as well. But we'll have a see. But we're going to start with guys who are dependable names, and I think are not going to steer you wrong. Dallas Goddard over the last couple of years is in that category. He has established himself as a tight end one, and a very good, probably the number 3 option in a not a particularly pass heavy scheme, but he's great. I do like him a lot, and if you can get him, that's great. But I think his price is maybe a bit elevated based on the fact he's with Jalen Hurts. Someone whose price isn't elevated is, but maybe he's a little bit based on past success. Darren Waller. Darren Waller is now with the Giants. I think he looks healthier than he has done for a long time, and they are screaming out for a number 1 pass catcher. And I think that's what he could be. I'm going to put him at the top of this tier because he could definitely have those spike weeks and be alongside the top 4 guys. I think. I think looking at this guy, we've got a top 5 across these 6. It depends, how you're going to mix them up with Travis Kelce on top, obviously. There's a couple of other guys who I'm going to have some faith in, and I think based on opportunity, Kyle Pitts has got to be in the conversation. It's got to be his year, right? Ooh, he's got to make it. I really hope he does. And Kyle Pitts is going to be in my set and forget. You have to start. You have to start him if you've got him. So you're going to continue to do so no matter what. And he should be in the set and forget category. I think his draft capital alone speaks to that. Right. Let's look who I think is going to be solid and dependable. I still think, based on this fact, we've only got 7 names. These guys are still tight end one, so you should be happy with that. And if that's what you're going after a team that's not going to kill you, these guys are still very valuable. And I'm just going to see if I can recognize some of these guys because I don't recognize some of them. But I believe that is Cole Kmet, and Cole Kmet goes in there. I've spoken about him before. He's one of my guys. I think he's had a great end of season last season. I think there's opportunity with Justin Fields taking that Jalen Hurts style leap this year. I think he's someone you want to tether behind. Evan Engram, I think, is very much tethered with Trevor Lawrence, who I think is going to have a fantastic season as well. So he is in that solid range. And these are not remarkable guys, but I think out of them, maybe Pat Fryermuth, because he was almost their number 1 target last year. I think he could be someone you have in there. So you know what? There's a top 10 guys who I think are going to necessarily who are going to be tight end ones. I did have a couple other names in this because I wanted to make it 12, but I can't justify because there are a couple of guys who are on the border here, and I think a name that we always have a lot of hope for, but has a lot of upside, is David Njoku. If he can get rid of those drops, I think you've got a lot of upside in David Njoku, and I'm really looking forward to how he plays. And I'm going to put 2 more names in there. I'm going to put Chig Okonkwo. I think it's Chig Okonkwo. Correct me if I'm wrong, and I believe this is him. I think that's the Titans logo. That looks like it could be him. I'm going to go with him. He's going to be in my upside category, and I'm also. No, I'm going to put 2 more names. I'm going to put Dalton Schultz over there in Houston, and I think that's where I'm going to sit, and I'm going to chuck Jawan Johnson in there because of his physical attributes. All these guys have upside and could be the last 2 in that top 12, I think. But I think for the fact that they have a bit more variance for different reasons, David Njoku because he hasn't shown it in consistent way. Chigo Okonkwo because he's a second year tight end. New system for Dalton Schultz, is it going to be a friendly to the tight end? Hope so. Rookie quarterback. And Juwan Johnson hasn't shown it year on year. I think he's 28 or something like that. He's sneaky old. Um, these guys are still good options, and I think you can get them for good value. It'd be interesting I haven't paid attention to tight end really in the draft because I go after the same names. It feels like, but it'd be interesting seeing if I'm actually going to do a different draft than I've done last time. I'm going to actually do the zombie draft, which is going to be interesting because there you need two tight ends, so we can focus on that a bit more. But yeah, I think all of them are interesting names, and I haven't actually picked up any of these guys, so I don't know where they go. So it'll be interesting to see in reality where these guys do go. I think we then have a notable drop off. We've got Gerald Everett. I think there's too many mouths to feed there. I think that's the problem. Tyler Higbee does have upside, but he's played very late on. I'm going to have a drop off just because he didn't really have a great season last year, and it was a little bit of a worry there. Dawson Knox is in this crew as well. You've got Dalton Kincaid coming in to bite at his target share potentially. We have my man Hunter Henry and Mike Gesicki. I feel like Mike Gesicki has got a better opportunity than Hunter Henry. And I haven't got a candidate for like don't draft or like avoid etc. But yeah, I think those guys are going to be interesting. And I think they could be interesting in late rounds. I picked up Mike Gesicki in actually be my tight end one because I think he has a bit more upside, and maybe I'll push him to there. He's at the back end of upside, I think, because he is known as a pure pass catcher, and they don't really have an established pass catcher. They've got a lot of pass catchers over in New England, but no one who is massively established. And then it kind of drops out. I've got some breakout candidates next who are guys who are going to be in like kind of second and third year. I don't know everyone's names here, but you know what? I'm just going to use this guy as a placeholder. I don't think it is him, but Trey McBride, I think, could be an interesting breakout. I think Greg Dulcich could be an interesting breakout. And I think Irv Smith with a new team could also be an interesting breakout. Sam Laporta in there as well. And I believe this is Tucker Kraft. I think all these guys have draft capital above and beyond where they're being. You know what? It speaks volumes when you have a high draft capital in the actual NFL draft as a tight end because you're trusted to do so much at tight end, and I think it really does enable players to to break out in first and second year if they get a chance. It's not often that happens with tight ends. That's why I've got Sam Laporta and Tucker Kraft later on in that. Yeah, that's where I think these guys should sit. And then we get into a tier where there's just confusion, and you know what? I'm putting confusion in here because I'm avoiding these guys. That is nameless Raiders guy. Is it Hayden Hurst? Is he there now? I can't remember. I think that's Hayden Hurst, actually. I don't know. That's Austin Hooper, I believe. But these guys are all in confusion land. Noah Fant, there's loads of mouths to feed there. I just think he's going to drop down the pecking order. That's Ferguson or someone, Mo Ali Cox, Tyler Conklin. Yeah, these guys are all in a mess of like, yeah, they could be good one week, but they're not going to be great. Zach Ertz, I feel like he was a cut candidate, as was Logan Thomas. These are cut candidates. That's where I'm seeing them. I'm seeing them as desperation draft picks. There's confusion there. They're probably going to be in and out of the waiver wire. His tight end is not a favorable position for these candidates, but yeah, that's where these guys sit. So in my tiers, I've got standing in his own. Let's just go from the top. Let's get into a draft in a minute. We've got Killer Trav on his own there. We've got Mark Andrews and TJ Hawkinson in our elite production inbound. You get them in the second round, I'm not going to kill you for it. Kittle, I think, has probably got a bit too much capital behind him than you maybe want. He's going to be a tough sell for me, especially where he's being drafted. But these guys in the set and forget category, I really like. Darren Waller, Dallas Goedert, and Kyle Pitts. If I can pick up one of these guys, I'm very happy. And I'm very happy picking up some solid guys. Cole Kmet, Evan Ingram, and Pat Frymuth, really interested in. Upside as your tight end twos. These are probably, I think, more reliable tight end two, weirdly enough. David Njoku, Okonkwo, Schultz, Juwan Johnson, and Gesicki. Then we have a bit of a drop off. So I think it's more than a bit of a drop off. I think, statistically wise, I think we're going to see a big drop off. Gerald Everett, and his former teammate Tyler Higbee. Both obviously two sides of LA at the moment. We've got Dawson Knox, and I think you can probably throw Dalton Kincaid. I don't have the face for him here, and Hunt Henry. Then we've got breakout candidates: Trey McBride. I'm sure that's not Trey McBride. I don't know who that is though. Is that Otten? Either way, you could have him in there. Greg Dulcich, Irv Smith. I believe that's Sam Laporta and Tucker Craft here, or either one of the guys there. And you know what? Maybe I'm going to move down the Green Bay guys into confusion, because although they've got high draft capital, there are two of them there. Any Raiders tight end, unless that's Foster and Moreau. Either way, these guys are all in land of confusion. Everyone else I'm confused about. I can't rank them. So that's where we're sitting at the moment. So we'll be back on the other side shortly with a tight end related draft, and it's going to be part of the zombie draft, which we're going to do a bit of a preview for. We're going to do properly in a couple of weeks time. But yeah, I will see you just on the other side. Right, competition time, guys. Rules are on the screen as you see them now, but part one is we're trying to drive subscriptions to rugbywithpads.com. You can find all the information here, but for every single subscription you make from £1 a month, you can get all the benefits like you would do on a normal Patreon. But as you go up, you can also get merch with it as well. And this is how we're selling our merch that you've seen me wearing during some of these YouTube videos as well. If you enter for as little as £1, you'll be entered into the competition. There's bonus entries for higher tiers as well. Now, we'll announce the winner of that on the pod once we've got a minimum of 10 subscribers, and then part two comes in. So get ready already. Go to youtube.com/rugbywithpads, click subscribe, and comment on any of the videos. And there's a fair few. We bring out the videos at the same time as we do on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and you'll be entered into a competition to win either a t-shirt or a pop socket. It's free, but we must make sure that part one is won first. Let's drive that traffic over to rugbywithpads.com, and the draw announcements will be on the pod. I'll keep you updated with what we're doing and put some stuff on socials. Right, back to the pod. Okay, we are back, guys, and you'll notice it's a bit of a different draft setup. Today we have a zombie draft. The zombie leagues that I'm going to be hosting, I'm hopefully going to host 2 this year. Effectively, it's a cross between Eliminator and it's a similar kind of leagues like that. But this one is a 14-man zombie league. So if you are in the bottom tier effectively of players each week, or bottom scoring things, you can become a zombie, or you can result. It's all kind of thing. We're going to do a whole episode on it, but needless to say, this is a bit of a different roster because I wanted to make it scarce. So the idea is that you are constantly having to pick up off the waiver wire if you're a zombie or if you're a human to protect your position. So it's a big league. It's a wide receiver, pass catching heavy league. It's tight end premium. So this is all that we want for looking at tight ends, because I'm going to dig into tight ends, and we're probably going to be drafting 3, if not 4 tight ends on this one. So yeah, should be really interesting. But without further ado, let's crack on. We're going to turn off the noises first. We're going to do a randomized draft. It's a 14-man draft, and where do I get? It's not in the top. You can't even see me on the screen. So start off with, it feels like a typical draft. And in terms of things dropping around me, things are dropping around me for sure. This feels like a super professional outfit, doesn't it? But let's zoom out a little bit just so I can see my position, because it's not scanning along here. I'm drafting at the 12 spot, which is not a nice spot to be drafting from. I'm going to extend it a little bit just so we can see what everything is happening over here. The 12 spot, we've already seen Travis Kelce go, so we still have Mark Andrews and TJ Hawkinson in that next spot. They will probably get back to us. At least one of them will. And you know what? I probably want to get one of them, but for the time being, because we need to put 3 running backs in place, I'm going to go with the person who I seem to always draft at 11 or 12, Stephon Diggs, and we're going to go ahead and do that. Now, this is where it starts getting tough. I have to play 3 wide receivers, but I also have to play 2 tight ends. So I feel like I've got a decent advantage at wide receiver, but tight end is very, very thin. Running back is thin. I have to play 2, but it's PPR heavy, this league. I'm left with a lot of decisions here. PPR heavy would lead me towards Josh Jacobs, but Mark Andrews isn't going to come back. It's likely TJ Hawkinson will come back to me. So you know what? I'm going to hold fire, and this is the reason why we do tier breaks, because we want to look at who could potentially come back to you. More often than not, people aren't going to be playing in the same tier style as you, or they're going to be playing to look at AD. They're going to be playing more the ADP game. Now I'm torn between Amon Russell Brown, who I think is a very good player, or Josh Jacobs, who I think is massively talented. And in this case, because it's PPR, and I just want to get one good PPR running back here, I'm going to go with Josh Jacobs. Might live to regret that, but we shall see. But this is a case of always remembering and always switching up and seeing how you should be drafting, and what kind of things become available to you. This is a third round reversal. That's why these guys are going to come back to me. This is interesting, but I can have a long wait after this. Mark Andrews did go in the 210. Unfortunately, didn't quite get back to me. I'm left with a decision to make, but you know what? I feel like this is a tight end heavy draft. I'm going to need to go to him. The next two tiers will probably go before I get another pick. So I am going to go with TJ Hawkinson. And this is one of my tips in general drafting. If you're towards the either end and you have a long time to wait, I mean, in this one, I'm going to have 20 plus picks to wait. It's fine to reach within reason. I think reach within reason. No more tight ends go yet. George Kittle goes just a couple of places before me, and then I'm thinking about how I'm going to make up the rest of my squad. And I'm thinking my next tier of guys, Darren Waller, Dallas Goedert, and Kyle Pitts are all still available. So I'm going to kick the can a little bit, and I'm going to pick up someone who I think is going to get a lot of receptions and maybe limits my options a little bit at tight end. But I'm going to go with DJ Moore. DJ Moore, just to make sure I'm filling out that wide receiver room. This is a hard draft. Now, this is where it gets difficult, because in this next block, my next tier of guys are all going to go, and I want to have a positional advantage at tight end. This is the decision I've come in making this draft, and I think I've got an ability to do that and get ahead of everyone. It could start a run. Yeah, I think in any normal league, if you're playing against humans and they're contextually aware, they might start a run. But I'm going to pick the guy who I think is top of this set and forget tier. I'm not going to wait for the whole tier to go and just have another one who's solid. I'm going to have a positional advantage for tight end, and I'm going to go for Darren Waller. So my team so far, I don't have a QB. My running back one is Josh Jacobs. I need another running back. I've got Stephon Diggs and DJ Moore. I need another wide receiver. I've got TJ Hawkinson, Darren Waller, and funnily enough, the next two guys in that tier, Dallas Goedert and Kyle Pitts, went towards the end. So there was a little bit of run. So I made the right choice. And even if I didn't, I might think, well, I still got the player that I needed because I value him. So it helps you make better decisions. Now, I am going to move away from the tight end because I feel like I've got two tight ends. Flex positions, I always say, are reserved for upside, because there are players you need to play and players you want to play. And I think I'm just going to have to kick the can on another tight end for the time being. And I'm going to have to try and fill out my roster. The wide receivers have gone, and my options are becoming limited at running back as well. But I do have two picks in quick succession. This is PPR heavy, so I'm looking at some RJP Ryan. I'm looking at Rashad Penny. I like them both. AJ Dillon is a nice option. Antonio Gibson is probably at the top of my tree there. But if I look at these guys who I've got at wide receiver, I think I need to pick Jahan Dotson as being the top of that pile here. I'm going to have to pick up a quarterback soon, because I've definitely negated that position. But we're going down into my next tier of quarterbacks. I still think there are some guys left that I wouldn't mind playing. I wouldn't mind playing with Anthony Richardson, and I'd probably take another veteran as my backup there. But I'm going to go and fill out my roster at running back, and I'm going to go with AJ Dillon, who I still think has a lot of opportunity there, probably more so for his value than Aaron Jones. I mean, there is a four round gap there. Evan Ingram goes shortly afterwards. David Njoku goes. We've still got Cole Kmet sitting in our solid pile, I think. Or has he gone already? I don't think he's gone, Oh, Dalton Schultz goes. Cole Kmet is sitting down there. He will be available next. So I think I'm going to do what I said. Unfortunately, Anthony Richardson goes. But someone who I do like a lot, Aaron Rodgers, is going so low, and I am so high on him. So I'm going to pick up Aaron Rodgers. And the fact that he might even be passing Oh no, he's not going to be passing to AJ Dillon anymore. Ignore that. That was stupid. I'm then looking at my flex, so I'm looking at upside guys, and I am thinking about. Oh no, Cocker's just gone. Oh, that's crazy. But the last of my upside guys here, I don't like Jawan Johnson as much as the other guys. I'm going to go with Chig Okonkwo. Is it Okonkwo or Quonkwo? Okonkwo. Yeah, probably that. I'm going to go with Chig, who I'm going to refer to from as from now on at the 903. I really like that position, and he's going to be in my. Yeah, he scored the most points per route run last year in PPR formats. That's crazy. Above most wide receivers as well. He's better than Travis Kelce in those metrics. Obviously, he didn't run as many routes. We say routes in America, we say routes over here. Yeah, I think that he's an interesting pickup. We have Dalton Kincaid, Greg Dulcich, Tyler Higbee, and now we're getting into the either your risky breakout candidates, or we're going into confusion. And I'm probably going to avoid both of those. And then I've got Aaron Rodgers, who I think is a reliable, running back, not running back, quarterback. I'm thinking about week one. So this is a week by week. I need to make sure that all these guys are scoring in week one. They maintain true. Got a flex position to fill out. Who is going to be good in that flex? Oh, this is difficult. So the week one prospects for Sam Laporta look better than Kendra Miller because there hasn't been a judgment made on Alvin Kamara yet. I think there will be. I think he will miss some time. Tyler Boyd will catch some passes, but is he so far down the roster? If I take Sam Laporta, it does limit me, and I probably need to take another pass catcher in a different position rather than a quarterback. Although I've got Aaron Rodgers, they paid a lot for him. I'm probably not going to play anyone else. I'm going to go with Sam Laporta because in the first 6 weeks, he is going to be a pass catching option above and beyond where he is drafted because we've got Jamal Williams out for so long. And you know what? He comes back to me, so I'm not too worried. I'm thinking about, is there any other pass catchers that I just want to make sure that who are going to be active and who are going to be consistent, because that's probably what I want here. I could stretch a lot. You know what? I need 3 wide receivers. If one of those goes out, I'm going to stretch a little bit. And a secret draft, I am high upside on. Van Jefferson is going to be my final pick. In the finals, we got Jared Everett, Mayer. That's who that guy was. Wasn't anyone else, but yeah. Insert Raiders tight end. It was Michael Mayer. Sorry, I was just having a mind blank when we went through there. But the final team, let's go with where I went with them. Aaron Jones in the 8th. I got Josh Jacobs in the 2nd. AJ Dillon as my RB2 in the 7th. My wide receivers I got in the 1st, 4th, and 6th. Stephon Diggs, DJ Moore, and Jahan Dotson. Really happy with those guys. I went early on tight end because this has got 2 tight ends. It's a tight end premium league. I have 4 tight ends in the end, which maybe in real life I wouldn't get, but I think just because I was forcing the issue because this is a tight end draft and try things out. It's interesting. I got TJ Hawkinson in the 3rd, Darren Waller in the 5th, which I think is immense value. Chig Okonkwo in the 9th, and Sam Laporta in the 10th. And on my bench, I've got Van Jefferson. And this is a league that we're actually going to be entering into. It's only got 1 bench spot. It's going to be mad. And if you become a zombie, you have to drop your entire team and you lose half your fab. So you're going to be picking up on scraps. So when we're getting further down, you become more zombified, you become weaker and weaker. So getting back your humanity is going to be harder. And that's the whole idea about this league. But we'll do a whole episode on that, and we'll do a live draft of it probably as well. But yeah, that's your lot, guys, on this one. Really interesting draft. I like it. 4 tight ends. I'm going from not picking any to picking 4. Once again, thank you so much for listening. However you're receiving this, whether it be Apple's podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, however you listen to this, I think Google Podcasts is still a thing as well. I think we're there. We're there anywhere you get podcasts or can publish them from the UK, and obviously on YouTube. Find me on all the socials. We're now on Threads as well, at Rugby with Pads. Support the pod. RugbyWithPads.com. You can get a subscription, a membership to some extra content during the season for as little as £1 a month, and that's where we're selling our merch as well. So all the t-shirts that you've seen in the past, the hoodies, etc., which I'll probably bring more in the when it's not blazing hot in the summer. Yeah, we've got a lot going on over there. So and there's some competitions as well, of which I'll drop the information into this as well. But thank you so much for listening. I'm rabbling on a little bit. If you like this, hopefully you do. I've really enjoyed making this series. We'll do a bit of a summary in the next couple of weeks probably, and then get into mock drafts properly. But thank you so much for listening, and as always, I will see you on the virtual gridiron.